Our voices from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. Hear them now. What's new? What's hot? What's shot? I need more. What's new? The new generation. What's shot? I need more. New Generation Radio with Kendall Moore. WVON AM 1690. Let's talk about it. Come on. New Generation.
Welcome to the Kendall Moore Show, the after show. Davita and I, we still have not even named what this show is going to be. We're going to check in with Davita sooner or later and finally get us a name for this show. Listen, I appreciate you guys allowing me to be a part of your Facebook and or YouTube experience. Tonight's discussions, we will have the topic, as we discussed previously this evening, why are we in love with other cultures? Now, some people may be offended by it, but we need to examine and have and discuss that topic. Former Governor Rod Blagojevich was incarcerated, locked up for 14 years this past week. Talked about it this evening on the Kendall Moore Show, and now we're talking about it right now. We want to know what your opinions are. We want you to like this page, and we also want you to engage us in future shows. Raise your hand, anybody who wants to comment. And here's the question. Why do we literally care about other people more than we care about ourselves?
You turn on the news every night, pretty much blacks are being depicted for only negative stuff. It's like rare when you see black folks, shown in a positive light. And WGN, just living, in another city, you see, like, particularly with Chicago, you see everything bad going on in Chicago, and it's always a black face, that's that's contributing to this negativity. But that's what's being shown. It's not being like stuff like this. This is something that positive black folks do right here, what we're doing. But, you won't see this on nobody's newscast, And it's stuff that's just that's been embedded in us since we've been brought to this country. Personally.
I think that there are a couple of reasons that African Americans particularly engage and associate themselves and connect themselves with other cultures and have a sympathy for them. To piggyback off of what Farouk said, of course, we do know the history of our background, and we do know that culturally we've been designed to have sympathy, and goes all the way back to slavery when we were serving masters. So we have an association to whatever is ailing master, or whenever there's a problem, we associate it with us. There's something wrong, because we look to him as our caretaker.
As far as sometimes we're not as sympathetic to our own, and I think a lot of it comes back to overall self-love or a lack of self-love that a lot of black people have, because a lot of times, again, we are more sympathetic. We say, and it does go back to the slave mentality. I remember Malcolm X said this a long time ago, master sick, we sick. And it's like we almost still have that same mentality of feeling sympathetic for somebody that's white, but we almost believe into the media stereotypes that they have about black people. And a lot of it has to do with that break in the generation. So the older generations look at the sagging pants, and like Davita said, they stereotype. They look at everybody as, if I see him on the news, is guilty before proven innocent. And it's like we automatically assume that, so we have less sympathy for our own selves. And it's such an institution that's been set up. We really need to talk about this, because the jails are privatized, and they're out here to make money off of black youth going to jail. It's like they're building jails right now because they know by the time you turn 17 or 18, so many of them will be in prison.
And just to play devil's advocate now, I think something else that we are not recognizing is that we see someone who is committed and doing something positive in society, a lot of times, and it's painful for me to admit to it, but you all know because you watch the news, or you've been a victim of theft, burglary, or you know a family member who has been shot, or something has occurred, because a lot of us out here are off the chain. We're wild right now. The young people are violent. We know, I hate to admit to it, I don't want to, but the truth of the matter is. So a lot of it, when we think about African Americans who are incarcerated, they're associated with negative things. So we have become almost conditioned and desensitized to even feel pain or sympathy for them, because automatically we think, well, you going to jail, you've been robbing the old lady down the street. You broke into my car. You stabbed a little girl 3 years ago. So, when we see Johnny, he may not be that person we associate with, but he looks like him. His pants are sagging. So we kind of become desensitized to our own problems that happen every day. And then we see it happen to someone else who we feel that is making a point in society. We kind of have more compassion for them.